The views on a Breath of Fresh Air podcast reflects the parties involved, and we encourage you all to use it as a conversational tool that will lead to personal studies of your own.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Welcome to a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz Gay. As a young person, Christianity can be so foggy, like smoke in the mirrors and so unclear. But we're here to bring you a breath of fresh air.
David! Is that you? What are you doing? Why are you alone? Why is no one with you?
Ahimelech, don't be afraid. Yeah, it's me, David. The king has ordered me on some business, and he said to me, do not let anyone know anything about the business on which I send you or what I've commanded you. And so I directed the rest of my men to stay in such and such a place. But, you got any bread on hand? You got any food? Like, give me 5 loaves of bread. Whatever you can find.
I can't give you 5 loaves. All I have is the consecrated showbread over here. I don't have any ordinary bread on hand. But I can give that to you, provided you and your men have kept themselves from women.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, like women? Yeah, none of me or my men have seen women in about 3 days. And the men's bodies are holy on missions that are not holy. How much more so today?
Well, here you go. Here are the showbread. I hope you all enjoy. Oh, hey, Doeg. How's it going?
Oh, that's Doeg. I have no sword, no spit, nothing. Ahimelech!
Hold on, Doeg. Yes?
Don't you have a spear or a sword here? I haven't bought my sword or any other weapon because the king's mission was urgent. So I just had to get out of there, you know what I'm saying? So, but do you have anything that I could use?
Sword. Oh, well, only the sword of Goliath, the Philistine who you killed in the valley of Elah, is here. I mean, it's wrapped in a cloth behind this ephod. If you want it, take it.
Yes, that'll do. There's none like that sword. Give it to me.
There you go.
David got the confirmation that he needed, that King Saul, in fact, really wants to kill him. And now, David is on the run. We see how this pressure and this stress causes David to act uncharacteristically. And then we also see the full extent of King Saul's hatred against David. This week, we dive into 1 Samuel chapters 21 and 22. As always, be blessed and enjoy. All right, welcome back to another episode of a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. My name is Earl Roberts II, and along with my co-host Nakhaz Gay.
Yes, sir, that is I.
We are coming again to give you guys, we're right now, you guys already know, if you're joining us for the first time, we're in the story of David. I would encourage everyone to go back and listen to the previous episodes so you get a full context. Definitely read the story in the Bible for yourselves and any verses that we mention. I would encourage everyone just not to just read the verse in particular, because again, that's one thing we don't have time for in the podcast, but to give the full background, even though like we kind of give it in the context as best as we can. But definitely, like I always tell the people too, like, and I've heard, because I'm not the inventor of this, but like, try to read like 5 verses above and 5 verses below so you actually get the context of what that verse is saying. Again, we want to encourage everyone, read the Bible for yourselves. Don't take our word for it. We definitely want you to develop your own personal relationship with God. Because that is truly important. That is truly important because at the end of the day, it is our salvation. Me and Kazi was talking about this earlier, right? And some people might argue, like, why are you guys like following God? I guess it's kind of like the weekly thought for this week, so just go along with it. But people say, like, heaven might not be real. Heaven might not exist. So everything you guys doing is pointless. And But let the record state, I definitely do believe in God. I definitely do believe in Jesus. I definitely believe in the Holy Spirit. I definitely believe and have faith in that Jesus came to earth fully God and human and died for our sins on the cross, that we might have a place to go into heaven. But let me just say, speaking hypothetically, if it doesn't exist, I rather try to do everything that I don't lose out on it if it actually is real, and to just, that's the best way to say this, ball out on earth and then have nothing when I could have had an eternal life with God in heaven.
And then guess what, right? Christianity, and I'm not talking about in its malpractice. True Christianity, as depicted in the Bible, does not hurt anybody. It only helps. It only makes the world a better place. It only brings peace. It only minimizes strife and conflict. And so at the end of the day, you might be missing out on the pleasures of life. Yes, that is a fact. I'm not going to deny that. If in a hypothetical world where heaven does not exist and you still remain a devout Christian, you will miss out on lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and pride of life. You will miss out on these three things. But guess what? You will not be looked at, or not even looked at. You will not be someone that contributed negatively to the world. You will only be a positive person, determined, a blessed person by following Christ. Even if heaven did not exist, there's no bad outcome. It's not like you following this and you I don't even know how to explain what I'm trying to say. Like, it ain't like you doing the world a disservice by being a Christian. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you are contributing to the world, like, in a positive way by following this, because the book is only pushing you to be a godly, a godlike, sinless person. You know, that's what the book wants us to be, like, to minimize our sin, to follow God, you know, and He is good. So, excuse me.
That's something, like, I know we talked about this before in the pod, but not in entirety, but God is good. It is like God is kind of good. Like, the very essence of God is good. The very essence of God is love. The very essence of God is righteousness. The very essence of God is faithfulness. And it's kind of hard in our sinful minds to wrap our heads around that. And that's why, like, in the commandments, God said, have no other God before me. Worship no other God before me. Don't make any graven images to me, because God's like, there's nothing that you can create or worship that deserves your praise and adoration as I do, because I am perfect. I am everything that you need. And so it's interesting, but yeah, man, like, and that's the importance of it. That's the importance of what we're trying to do. Like, we're trying to at least make the Bible more relatable to everyone so that you can come to God for yourself. And I think there's a lot of stigmatism about the Bible in the minds of other Christians or other new believers, that the Bible is such a hard book to read. I understand the King James would be a bit of a challenge, and they're probably scared of certain stories in the Bible, certain depictions of certain things, but it's not a book that you should be scared of. It's a book that should actually bring you peace and comfort and joy. It's a book that lets you know that you do have a God, that, contrary to popular belief from the world, that God is ever present in our lives. He is ever caring about our well-being. The small decisions that we take for granted, that I still take for granted, God cares about it. And he wants to have that relationship with you as his child. So definitely read the Bible for yourself. The title might have already gave it away, but we are still talking about David. Go figure. We're going to be talking about David for who knows?
A very long time.
Like, probably for the rest of the year, I feel like. By October, we might be done. Right. Who knows? But we're going to be talking for David for a very long time. And this week, we're really picking up in chapter 21. Last week, we saw how David and Jonathan had to say their goodbyes, because at the beginning, we see how David was like, Jonathan, why does your father want to kill me? Earl paraphrasing here. Why does your father want to kill me? Jonathan's like, my father doesn't want to kill you. What are you talking about? David's like, bro, between me and you, if I go around him, I'm one step away from death. Your father wants to kill me. So they came up with a plan for Saul to reveal what was on his heart, for a way for Saul not to be able to hide it, because Jonathan wholeheartedly was in the dark, even though me and Kazi kind of said that it was kind of a little naive of Jonathan, but we really don't know how well Saul was hiding it. And then at the same time, Jonathan's characters might have seemed to be one to believe the best in people. So he might have said, I know my father had wanted to kill you at a certain point, but I thought I squashed it. So in my eyes, everything should be okay. But we see at the end of that, Saul revealed that, I really want to kill David. And in doing that, he almost killed Jonathan in his anger and wrath towards David. And so we see at the end, they said their goodbyes. Jonathan was like, yep, man, he wants to kill you. They cried and you got to go. And so now we're picking up from that point on. We see now in 1 Samuel 21, now David came to Nob to Ahimelech, the priest. That's interesting. So Ahimelech, and we know we've had some names close to this, but usually with a B instead of H, but Ahimelech, the priest. And Ahimelech was afraid when he met David and said to him, why are you alone and no one is with you? So we see David ran, but something was strange now, because I'm like saying, hold on, so why are you by yourself? So now David said to him, like the priest, the king has ordered me on some business and said to me, do not let anyone know anything about the business on which I send you or what I have commanded you. And I have directed my young man to such and such a place. Now, therefore, what have you on hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread in my hand, or whatever can be found. So, we see David. This is blatantly lying.
Yeah.
this one's blatantly lying. And we're gonna touch on this in a bit, but we see David's blatantly lying to the priest. But he's also saying, I'm hungry. Give me some bread. And the priest answered David and said, there is no common bread on hand, but there is holy bread. If the young men have at least kept themselves from women. Then David answered to the priest and said to him, truly, women have been kept from us about 3 days since I came out, and the vessels of the young man are holy, and the bread is in effect common, even though it was consecrated in the vessel this day. So the priest gave him holy bread, for there was no bread there but the showbread which had been taken from before the Lord in order to put hot bread in its place the day when it is taken away. Now a certain man, one of the servants of Saul, was there that day, detained before the Lord, and his name was Doeg, an Edomite, the chief of the herdsmen who belonged to Saul. And David said to Ahimelech, is there not here on hand a spear or a sword? For I have brought neither my sword nor my weapons with me, because the king's business was haste. We see David lying again.
Yep.
But now we see David's also, again, I guess we could pause right here, but we're seeing the common thread right here is David is in fear for his life. So we see he doesn't want to say, I'm running from the king. But we also see there's a lack of trust and faith here on God's part. On David's part of God.
That's true. But what before we get to that, one thing that always perplexes me, which I don't understand, is how was David permitted to eat the showbread? See, because we know that. So, all right. So we know that this is consecrated bread that the priests eat. David obviously wasn't a Levite in any type of way, but he was clean. So the priest was like, bro, if you are clean, you could eat of this bread. So the priest. So technically, from the priest standpoint, David wasn't doing anything wrong, right? However, we know Jesus used this as an example for us. When something is needful, it is lawful, which implies that if this thing isn't needful, then it will be unlawful to do this. And Jesus was saying that about the Sabbath, Obviously, David needed bread. You understand? He was on the run, possibly living in a cave, may not have eaten that day or days prior. You understand? Or you might just not know the next time you will eat, so you need to get that bread,
I think it's both, because my perspective on it, one, David lied. Straight up lied. He lied because even then he said, have you kept yourself from one? And David was like, yeah. Remember, David said, I left my man at such a place, which is a lie because he was alone. Then he said, women have been kept from us from 3 days, which is a lie again because one, you just left Micah. I don't know why I keep on saying Michael.
But that might have been more than 3 days ago, though.
Might have been, but still, you saying as a group, it's only you one.
Mm-hmm.
It's only you one. But then, and this is like a slippery slope, but again, it gets the priest saying, I can tell you probably are starving and need this bread. And so I'm going to break the Levitical customs right now, which he did, because David was not supposed to eat the bread regardless, he's not a priest. But he's saying, out of love, which is kind of what the law is based on, it still is like, out of love, I'm going to give you this bread. I'm going to break the priestly customs, and I'm going to probably have to pay the price for this. But you in need, what is this bread right now? Because you in need. Is it right or wrong? That's it's wrong.
No, you hit the nail on the head. So in Deuteronomy 4, and this is just me going off. Deuteronomy 5 is the 10 Commandments, right? Deuteronomy 6 is the Shema. If my memory holds
love
up,
the Lord,
right? Love the Lord. And even in Exodus, when shortly after they talk about the commandments, they talk about love. You understand? I think it's a chapter later, or a few chapters later, because those two should not be separated. The commandments are the commandments. But you need to know the why. It's because of love. That's why when Jesus was talking about the greatest of the 10 Commandments, he said, love your neighbors yourself, love the Lord your God with all your heart. Jesus ain't make this up. Jesus quoted the summary from Deuteronomy. You understand? Like he just was quoting what was already said. But it's like you can read this and you can be so matter of fact. You don't see the two. You don't see the correlation between the two. You can't follow the law while spreading hate at the same time. It contradicts it. You can't keep the Sabbath so holy that you cause someone to die or you neglect showing somebody love. That you're actually breaking the Sabbath. If your oxen falls in a ditch on the Sabbath, you can let it die, or you can fix, or you understand?
Help it out, yeah. If you can get it out the hole,
right? If you are convicted that you are not to shop on the Sabbath under any circumstances, we can talk about the Sabbath when we get to Ezra, Nehemiah. Some of the prophets, we can revisit the Sabbath. You understand?
Oh, we have our Sabbath part 2 episode.
Oh, yeah, for true. That's something we could do on there too as well. But I know my wife and I, sometimes we discuss just a different interpretation on what is lawful on the Sabbath, because even as Adventists, some people believe you could go to the restaurant on Sabbath. Some people don't, it's whatever. I know how I believe, and I can support that. I know what I believe, and I can support that by the Bible. Thus saith the Lord, and I feel like that's always necessary. But my thing is, if you are so convicted that you should or should not do something on the Sabbath, right? But in the practice of that, you are neglecting let's say you're convicted that you shouldn't go to the ATM on the Sabbath, right? It's breaking the Sabbath to go to the ATM, right? But now you see someone in need, bro, a homeless person, or you just feel this is someone that you can help, because God talks about what you have not done to the least of my brethren, you have done unto me. Like even the least of the earth, if you deny them stuff, it's like you denying Jesus Christ himself stuff, right? If you're in a position to share, but what's stopping you from sharing is the excuse that, oh, I can't go to the ATM because it's a Sabbath. You are not abiding by the law of love. You are breaking the law of love. You are not loving your neighbor as yourself. You understand what I'm saying? So you're breaking most of the commandments. It's like 6 commandments that talk about loving your neighbor, And then even in the New Testament, they say if you're guilty of breaking one, you're breaking all. And that's how deep it gets. So the thing about the commandments and the law, it has to be, love needs to be stitched within all of these.
In between all of them.
If you as a priest, right? If you as a priest, you see a man who appears to be he not to be well kept. He's alone to the point where it's scaring you, his appearance. Like when the Levites saw him, when Ahimelech saw him, he was scared because he's like, but you by yourself, right? My thing is, this David is so like off kilter to him that it's like, bro, you scaring me. How you like everything about you right now is scary to me, bro. You begging me for showbread. This is a desperate monarch you doing right now. You feel me? If you assess that situation and you realize how much this person needed, and you say, oh no, you ain't a pastor, you ain't a this and that and the third, you can't eat. Like then to me, like that's not love. You feel me? So you breaking the law of love. You ain't loving your neighbor as yourself. And so based on that, that's the premise where Ahimelech gave him the showbread, but then that's also the premise where God is saying what is needful is lawful on the Sabbath. The Sabbath can't be something that you hold so tightly to the point where you causing people to lack, or it's certain needs that you ignoring because of that. That ain't what God about. God about love. God about us being our needs taken care of. And so yeah, that makes sense to me.
And I mean that's a big fact too. Like, man, I remember in college when guy said something that stuck with me from that. It was the first time I heard it. People probably heard it before, right? Say like, you too heavenly minded to do any earthly good.
Yeah, that's in Ecclesiastes.
Yeah. And then to me, like in Jesus' time, we saw that's where the Pharisees and the Sadducees were.
Mm-hmm.
They were so, for their selfish reasons, so law related that they became a burden to everyone, even themselves, but they just wouldn't admit it because they were holier than thou.
Yep.
But where were we? Yeah, so back to David lying. Because we see that he lying multiple times, and then he's even keeping the narrative when he's asking for the sword. I mean, I understand why he wanted the sword or a spear, because I know that guy over there worked for Saul. So the plot is thickening now, and I realize I have no weapons. You gotta find a slingshot though.
Yeah.
But we see the priest said, the sword of Goliath, the Philistine, whom you killed in the valley of Elah, there it is, wrapped in the cloth behind the ephod. If you will take that, take it, for there is no other except that one here. And David said, there is none like it. Give it to me. Oh my. It's interesting how, like, why the sword of Goliath was randomly there.
Yeah,
I felt like that would have been a trophy to take back to the main city.
I was thinking that. I was like, wait, how you get that? You know what I mean? This is what I use to kill, but it's interesting. That might have been a city that's close to where they fought, maybe.
Might have been, because, I mean, it would make sense because we see in the very next thing, the next city he fled to was Gath. So I assume this is kind of close to the border of Philistine.
That makes sense.
But it's so interesting, too. I mean, like, it's funny how God has things there at the right time in the right place. And sometimes we're so overcome with what we're going through, we don't realize it. Because how did David kill Goliath?
With a slingshot.
With a slingshot, but not only that, wholly relying on God. Because there was, let's be honest, without God, David would have died. Everybody in Israel was scared to fight Goliath. You know what I'm saying? Who was opposing their God, defying their God. Everyone was scared to fight it. But David didn't get there by lying. He didn't get there by withholding the full truth. He got there by trusting, and he killed Goliath by trusting in God and relying on God to deliver him from the circumstances. But now we see how easy it is when we're so engrossed with what we're going through. It's too close to the tree to see the forest. Or too close to the forest to see the tree. Whichever one it is. He's so into what we're like, bro, I'm on the run. I don't want to die right now. I need some food. Because now it's like, before the time of trouble, you could have all that faith, but now you hear how you reacting. And we see he's starting to like lose some of that faith, some of that trust in God, because now he's depending on himself and what he can do versus what God can do. So, yeah.
When I first read this, bro, it didn't even occur to me that he didn't have men with him at the time. Because I familiar with the whole story where, at some point in time, there were men with him.
We read on, you see them, when they start coming to him, but he was right in the cave, and that's when they came down to him.
Right. My thing is, okay, bro, when the heavenly minded for no earthly good thing, I've been looking in Ecclesiastes for that. I think the text that I was trying to say was Ecclesiastes 7 verse 16, do not be over righteous, neither be over wise. Why destroy yourself? You feel me?
Dang.
I believe that text is in the Bible. I'm almost certain that I read that, but I just do a quick Google search, but I couldn't really find it easily because people saying that's like a
remake of it.
Right, a remake of something in Corinthians or whatever. But I just wanted to clarify that because, I do not like to misquote the scripture. You understand what I'm saying? I do not like to be just to spread misinformation in that regard. But other than that, bro, I didn't even realize that this guy was by himself, although the text starts off by saying that he was by himself. Now, I really looking at Doeg the shepherd because Doeg the shepherd, he just all up in the mix, right? But Doeg the shepherd realizes that David is a fugitive. But are we to believe that Ahimelech did not know that David was a fugitive? Doeg the shepherd know, This man acting funny, right? But Ahimelech, the priest, don't know. That's interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? I want to speculate and say that Ahimelech did know. You understand what I'm saying? But Ahimelech didn't want to obstruct God's plan. Or
You could be right, but to me, how I feel like, because Doeg was probably in the king's inner circle. We've seen him specifically mentioned that he was the king. So, like, you probably know Saul's disposition, and we could, from context clues, we can see that this, from reading from when David killed Goliath, and how after they did the campaigns, and then they returned to the city. So we could see that wherever this is, if we're saying it's close to where the Goliath was killed, because we can see right now where they went to Gath, which is the Philistine city. That means you have to be close to actually just go to Gath. Like, you in this town, I wouldn't even call it, so you in this town, away from the city, you don't really know what's happening. You know David because at this point, who don't know or know of David?
You have the spear of Goliath. You have the stuff of Goliath, bro. Like,
and
you're gonna
David
know
probably say, yeah, like, it's me, David. But to know what Saul really dealing with, and the last thing you might have known is you might have had Saul prophesying with the prophets.
Yeah. That might have been the last time you heard from him too. And I want to believe that all of these events happen so quickly after each other. So the word might not have had gotten around that far yet, you know. But that's interesting to me.
And boy, Doeg, well, we gonna talk about Doeg.
Yeah,
I really want to get to that story, but we might not get there in this episode.
Yeah, I think we can get there.
But anyway, so now we see in verse 10, 21, this one will show up in verse 10. Then David arose and fled that day from before Saul. Really, so he sees Saul like go like Doeg here. Let me dip. This place is no longer safe because Saul know my whereabouts if I stay here.
Yep.
And went to Achish, the king of Gath. And the servants of Achish said to him, "Is this not David, the king of the land? Did they not sing for him to one of the other dancers, saying, Saul has slain his thousands and David his 10,000s? But to your point, it's how word is spread. Because these the people in your enemy's town who know what your own nation's saying about you. And they call him the king. They call him the king. Now David took these words to heart and was very much afraid of Achish, the king of Gath. So he changed his behavior before them and pretended madness in their hands, scratched on the doors of the gate, and let saliva fall down his bed. Then Achish said to his servants, "Look, the man is insane. Why have you brought him to me? Have I the need of a madman, that you have brought this fellow to play the madman in my presence? Shall this fellow come into my house?"
The man said, we ain't not short on crazy people, bro. I cool, bro.
My thing is, it's so interesting now, because now you've turned into your enemy.
Yeah, boy.
You turn into your enemy to find some type of refuge, and you get these like, okay, this place, I don't know why you thought it would have been safe, but you're like, nope, abandon this plan.
But he feel like Saul's so angry at me, bro. The Philistines more my allies than.
And that's crazy.
Yeah.
Because we're going to see where he leave his family in a couple chapters.
Yeah.
And I was like, how you get here?
I see a slight correlation because, anyway, when we get there, we can get there. But I know, but I just want to take a brief tangent to go to Psalms 56. I mean, from the NIV, and they say they titled this when the Philistines had seized him in Gath, talking about David. Be merciful to me, my God, for my enemies are in hot pursuit. All day long they press their attack. My adversaries pursue me all day long. In their pride, many are attacking me. When I am afraid, I put my trust in you. In God, whose word I praise. In God I trust, and I'm not afraid. What can mere mortals do to me? All day long they twist my words. All their schemes are for my ruin. They conspire, they lurk, they watch my steps, hoping to take my life. Because of their wickedness, do not let them escape. In your anger, God, bring the nations down. Record my misery. List my tears on your scroll. Are they not in your record? Then my enemies will turn back when I call for help. By this I will know that God is for me. In God, whose word I praise. In the Lord, whose word I praise. In God I trust, and I'm not afraid. What can man do to me? I am under vows to you, my God. I will present my thank offerings to you, for you have delivered me from death, and my feet from stumbling, that I may walk before God in the light of life. So So that's what was going through David's mind. I assume this was after he was already free. You understand what I'm saying? This was his prayer to God. And as you can see, he's very God-centered. Like, he ain't complaining. You understand what I'm saying? Like, he thanking God. And he asking God for mercy and for help, because his enemy is in hot pursuit. But some other people might take the time to complain, like, God, why you putting me through this? Like, why you got this happening to me? You know what I mean? But he just asking, Lord, when I am afraid, I put my trust in you, and God, whose word I praise. God continuously in his head and his mind.
But the funny thing about it too, and sometimes I still think God lets things happen just for a certain reason so you can come back to him. Mm-hmm. Because think about it. God ain't telling him to go to God.
No.
You went to this hand of your enemies and they captured you, as we can, even though in First Samuel, to your point, the Psalm, anyway. Yeah. They kind of get tongue twisted now, right? But First Samuel chapter 21, it hinted towards that he might have been captured, but it still saw he was kind of free. Mm-hmm. But when you read Psalms 56, you're like, oh yeah, you probably was captured for real. Yeah. So now you have to resort to even more trickery to get out of this.
Think about it, bro. If you just walking through, right? If you walking through the town, how are you gonna hear a king say, "Isn't this the David?" Da 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 da, and then start drawing on the walls and letting your spit run down and stuff like that? How do these turn of events happen? You just walk in and then someone say, "Hey, that's David," and then the king say, "Hey, isn't that David?" And then you just start saying, "Oh, let me just draw on the wall," and things like that. Like, to me, it would imply that he had spent some time there for him to be able to accurately convince people that he crazy,
that he insane.
Yeah,
mercy. So we get into chapter 22, First Samuel.
Let's get it.
Yeah, it's reasonable. Okay, so First Samuel chapter 22. So it's been a while since we actually do 2 chapters.
Yeah. We ain't even 30 minutes of pod time.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, chapter 21 was only like 14 verses. So chapter 1 Samuel 22, David therefore departed from there, which we see this was Gath, and escaped to the cave of Adullam. So when his brothers and his fathers and all his father's house heard of it, they went down there to him. And everyone who was in distress, everyone who was in debt, and everyone who was discontented gathered to him. And so he became captain over them. And there we're about 400 men with him. And so now we see that this was the point. Like, you thought, like, these were people who were with him earlier. No, all this time they was alone.
Right.
And now people here, David went here. And you got to remember too, like, Saul's wrath at this point was now becoming not only just towards David, it was coming to everyone who was associated with David. Yep. So his family saying, our chances of surviving right now is better if we go to David and be closer to him than if we just stay here where Saul know he could find us and send people here to kill us. Which is interesting because half of David's brother, y'all in the army too. Yeah. So y'all can't defend yourself. They say, let's not take these chances.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it ending well. You just outnumbered, bro. Like, you try to defend yourself against the king. Mm-hmm. And then guess what? David ain't trying to defend himself. So why I gotta fight this battle for David? Hey, this the man who killed Goliath. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you ain't trying to fight, then who am I? Who am I to try to fight?
Exactly.
But remember what we say last episode? Saul willing to kill anybody. You see what I'm saying? Who in the way of him killing David? Case in point, in last episode, he was trying to kill his own son Jonathan because it appeared that Jonathan had conspired against Saul on behalf of David. And so, yeah, that's Saul's demeanor right now.
And we're going to get into some of that. Then David went down there from Mizpah, ran into Mizpah of Moab. And then he said to the king of Moab, please let my father and my mother come here with you. And it's so interesting because we never really hear about David's mummy like that.
Right. And so the point I was making earlier is that, remember, David's grandmother was a Moabite. You understand? And so I feel like he could trust people in Moab, or his parents could trust people because their parents or maybe their grandparents, I can't remember what the genealogy was like. I'm talking about Ruth, by the way. And so I feel like, they distant relatives, if anything. At least one of his parents, or his father, is a distant relative of the Moabites. So that's why he kind of felt comfortable to let them stay there, you know?
I agree. Definitely agree. And so, verse 4. So he brought them before the king of Moab, and they dwelt with him all the time that David was in the stronghold. Now the prophet Gad, Gad, said to David,
you gotta specify.
Yeah, because like God sounds so much like God.
Yeah, and some people say God, like that's just how they accent is.
So
Father God.
Yeah.
You know?
So it's like I gotta spell it out for Do not stay in the stronghold, depart and go to the land of Judah. So David departed and went into the forest of Hareth. But do you think there's any significance going back to like verse 2? All these people who were distressed in debt and anyone who was discontented gathered to David.
I don't know. I thought that was just pretty interesting, bro. I think of it like, all right, we have a man. I know that they gather into David as much as they realize that David in a safe place. And they like, bro, I need to go run to, and I can just go to this safe place where someone already being successful, just in exile, being safe. That might have been God's way of giving David some company. You see what I'm saying? Or God making David commander. But I just thought of it as people saying, bro, you know, like how, you know, like there, all right, so like in Bahamian history, there were some people who came to the island of Eleuthera because they wanted religious freedom. You understand what I'm saying? So I thought of it as that, like you see someone in a cave because he has freedom from he's exiled from the people who want to kill him.
The Israelite adventures.
Yeah, the Israelite adventurers. Or the Davidites or the cavemen, whatever. But yeah, I feel like they actually realized that this is a fortress, like a refuge, a place of refuge, I should say.
Interesting. I mean, like, it's just interesting the group of people because, again, I don't think these are people that David would have chose.
Right.
So it's like a group of misfits, essentially, that God just brought together to say, David. I mean, to me, it's hard to give him some experience, too, like, of leading a group of people. I mean, you got to kind of get in the army, but now you almost have, like, regular people that you still have to, like, lead over and command over and probably even settle disputes and stuff.
It's probably a lot of disputes. And because these aren't like people of prestige. But my thing is, it's just so interesting, bro. These people who in debt, bro. Imagine you owe somebody in our day 20 grand, 30 grand. This person trying to break your legs or something, bro. He trying to kill you for it. You come in to chill. I mean, realistically, you could borrow and come on hard times and you can't pay that back. But then also you might have a gambling problem or you just might be bad at money management. Regardless, you in debt. And so you following David, so you have a certain shame to you. You see what I'm saying? So you come to this place of refuge, but then there's people who might be going through depression or they just discontented in some type of way. And then, like you say, misfits. He have a group of people with a bunch of different stress points and personalities that he is surrounded by. They don't specify that all these people was devout Christians or they was, you know what I mean? But these just a bunch of people who on their butt, for lack of better words, bro. Like, they on hard times, I should say. That's probably the better thing to say. They on hard times right now.
Man, so First Chronicles 12, actually, like, start talking about them. So they say, like, now these were men who came to David at Ziklag when he was in the fugitive from Saul, son of Kish, and they were among the mighty men, helpers of war, armed with bows. Anyway, using both the right, I'm reading from them, this First Chronicles chapter 12. Anyway, they say, like, some of the Gadites joined David in the stronghold in the wilderness. Are we talking about the mighty men of valor, men trained for battle, men who can handle a shield and a spear, whose faces were like the faces of lions, who were swift as gazelles on the mountainsides. So again, even though it's like in context, when you read the Bible, you actually get, like, to your point too, you start getting more context. Yeah. And you know, these people who were indebted, these were still like
fighters.
They were some scrappy guys who was with David too.
So these trained men
who had David back.
Yeah, who just was on some hard times. So that make even more sense. That make even more sense.
That's even more context now.
And that would make sense why all of them would have the mindset, but let's go link up with David. That's how this be in the movies too, bro. Like watching medieval movies, bro, you might have a warrior who might be exiled. He might have a disagreement with the king, and the king say, you got to come from around here. And there's people who are misfits, like they might just lose their whole family or whatever, but they could fight and they're like, bro, I'll follow you. You understand what I'm saying? Like you, because you a leader. And I believe in what you believe in. You understand? I believe that you go on places too. You feel me? Not to say that they was in it so that they could have a place when David become king, but they like, bro, I believe in this guy, bro. Like he's a good leader. Let me help you. You feel me? And that's what's going on. And I like it though, because David, he don't have to be scared, Dread. You know what I mean? Like he have numbers now, I'd say.
Yeah, numbers of people who actually could quantifiably have your back in a skirmish. Because your people coming, for what it's worth, you have trained men coming to kill you. So it helps when you have trained men who are willing to defend you. Yeah. So in verse 6 now, then we see the prophet God said, David, do not stay here, depart and go to the land of Judah. And so, what is interesting is the land of Judah just has so much other significance, but we say like, go back to the, because so now he said, go back to the stronghold of Saul, because like that Saul was in Judah, I think. I could be mistaken. But I think like, you come up, you essentially leaving your place of safety and you saying go in the territory of Saul. Yeah. Which is very interesting. I think I'll be like, I'm trying to get away from him.
Right.
But in verse 6, when Saul heard that David and the men who were with him had been discovered, now Saul was saying in Gibeah, under the tamarisk tree and Saul really like to chill in the trees.
Yeah. I realized that from early on in the Saul arc.
Yeah, like he really likes to be in the trees.
Saul's bougie, bro. He ain't want to be in the hot sun. That's what they're giving me. You see what I said?
And he have his wonderful spear in his hand.
Yep, that trusty spear. That have 0 bodies.
And all his servants standing about him. And Saul said to his servants who stood about him, "Hear now, you Benjamites. Will the son of Jesse," you know, it's so funny too, like when people get so mad they can't call your name, that's what I'm getting from Saul now. I can't even call him David no more. The son of Jesse. I'd be like, which son, your majesty? Yeah. He got like 12 of them. Right. Which son? Yeah. Will the son of Jesse give every one of you fields and vineyards and make you all captains of thousands and captains of hundreds? All of you have conspired against me, and there is no one who reveals to me that my son has made a covenant with the son of Jesse, and there is not one of you who is sorry for me or reveals to me that my son has stirred up my servant against me to lie in wait as it is this day. What you think about that?
I think Saul is a hater, number one, because to your point saying the son of Jesse, that's hate, bro. That's hate, because Jesse ain't got no riches and thing like that, bro. Jesse's a regular dude, bro. So he's saying, well, Jesse's son, that's like saying, well, this middle or lower class person give y'all what I willing to give y'all? Because y'all so clear, it just really appears to me that he has y'all allegiance. The son of I gotta assume he's a shepherd. I don't know what Jesse was doing, right? But let's just say the son of a blue collar person. You see what I'm saying? He can't do none of this for you, bro. But somehow he got all y'all living in a place where y'all ain't even want to tell me the treacherous act that coming from my son. All y'all keeping y'all mouth shut at that, and then y'all also ain't helping me find this guy. Y'all being quiet in times when y'all should be talking, And he's saying, but Jesse them probably bribe y'all to do this the way y'all acting, the loyalty y'all showing, And I think Saul just hating for real. But obviously, he in desperate pursuit of David. And so he wondering why nobody in such pursuit with him. You see what I'm saying? Why y'all ain't zealous or overzealous for the king? I don't know if not one kiss up around here who willing to get the reward that I would give y'all for giving me him, for giving me David.
Y'all know Jonathan working with him and y'all didn't even tell me that.
Y'all didn't even tell me that. Mind you, he only an inch away from killing Jonathan. You see what I'm saying? Like, he only an inch away from killing Jonathan. How mad he was about that situation.
Exactly.
But y'all ain't even tell me that I gotta be the last to know everything. That's how Saul giving it up right now,
man. And what's so funny, that's how you know his hate. He could have used so many different, call these adjectives to describe David. The man who killed Goliath.
Yeah.
I guess you even call him God
the
tonight. The
harpist, the shepherd boy.
Exactly. He's saying the son of Jesse. Just blatant disrespect. And then now, You got your spear in your hand. That's never a good sign for Saul. Even though he doesn't seem to hurt anybody. But he definitely tries and make some attempts. And then now you're just talking to all of your servants like, bro, what's really wrong with y'all? And then again, the real sad part is, Saul, you know the reason why. You know the reason why, but only you can't seem to admit it. Bro, we just had the enemy nation calling David the king.
Yeah. David
ain't even the king. David is a man who just was crazy in their midst. No disrespect who was insane.
Right. He's talking like a madman.
A madman. Yeah. But they calling him the king. But you still on the throne.
Right.
Only you can't say you ain't gonna be king no more.
Right.
Or you ain't acting like a king. Like, man, you're so full of your own self.
You just don't want to accept it, bro. It's hard to
relinquish the power.
Yeah, and then to admit you wrong, and then to have such a costly penalty for being wrong. It's a lot going on with Saul, but that was his problem at the beginning. He was too full of himself, and that's how we get to this point. Now, just to backtrack, like if there's someone first time listening, Saul had a journey, and throughout his journey, he was tested by God a few times. Not even tests. God gave him tasks, and it seems that he only upheld one task, out of like 4 or 5 tasks. He keep getting it wrong. Like the very first task that he failed was actually the second battle that we knew that the Israelites were in under his rulership, under his leadership. And he broke the Torah, by offering a sacrifice that he was not authorized to do. Only the priests were authorized to do. From then, it was prophesied that his kingdom would be taken away. And now, fast forward, we see a man after God's own heart who was prophesied to be the next king is your public enemy number one. David ain't do nothing for you. As a matter of fact, everything you've asked David to do, he has done. And he has excelled. He has been your musician when you needed to be calm. He has been the captain. He has been your son-in-law. Like everything you asked him, he killed Goliath. Everything you asked him to do, he has done. But now you have to kill David because you're trying to prevent prophecy from being fulfilled. That's Saul's disposition. That's his demeanor right now. But he's fighting a losing battle. That's what he don't understand. That's what he don't want to accept. He might understand it. He might understand it, but he don't want to accept it.
It just shows how the devil can have you so
entangled.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Like,
because it's clear as day to everybody else but you. The thing is, but you're still trying to fight it. Like, maybe if I do this, I can still prevent all these other things from happening. But thus saith the Lord, you're gonna lose your kingdom.
Right, thus saith the Lord. This is the man who killed Goliath. You don't see how dangerous it is you trying to kill him? You don't see the prospect of you dying trying to kill him?
The matter of fact, when you was in his maybe 10 feet away from him, the Holy Spirit came so heavily on you that you couldn't do nothing but prophesy. About the goodness of God. Why
you still pursuing this guy, bro? It's just crazy how entangled, how lost in the sauce, bro. Like how deep in flesh Saul is to the point where he is blinded.
So now we go into verse 9. Then answered Doeg. We see Doeg comes back, who was set over the servants of Saul, and said, I saw the son of Jesse go into Nob to Ahimelech, the son of Ahitub, and he inquired of the Lord for him, gave him some provisions, and gave him the sword of Goliath, the Philistine.
Oh, you know what that sound, bro? That sound bad,
It sounds bad.
Yeah.
It sounds very bad. Not gonna lie. It sounds very, very bad. It sounds like David on a mission.
Yeah, like he gearing up to go to war against Saul.
Exactly. So it does sound bad, but it's so funny because we know the truth, and this just really shows how things can be taken so far out of context.
Right. That's Doeg's perspective, or that's his side of the story, or that's him putting a little extra sauce on the story. You presented it in a way to make it seem like that's what he was trying to do. We just talk about this in this very episode. As a matter of fact, he come there for bread. You understand what I'm saying? And then when he see Doeg, he like, man, I might need to strap up. So that's when he tried to ask for a sword. But David need prayers as much as anybody. David is somebody in hot pursuit trying to kill him every day who don't need provisions. But it seemed like David going to Doeg making it seem like David come to him saying, "But pray for me, bro. I need God blessing in this military conquest."
This sounds so wait. For just sound wonder what it is, but it's like, this man just give me 5 loaves of bread.
Right.
5, bro. Just 5 loaves of bread. You make it sound like, bro, I just get a whole bunch of like military equipment and water and jugs and everything, bro. Like, I just get 5 loaves of bread.
And that was it, bro.
Not even 5 big loaves either.
Right.
Showbread was flat.
No yeast.
You just get like 5 pancakes, bro.
Yeah. Some flat bread, bro.
Like, no disrespect to like the showbread, but like in reality, it was no provisions.
Yeah.
He just gave him a meal.
Right.
1 meal.
No protein.
Like, shoot, man, the venison soup might have been better than what David get.
That's what I say. That's what I think. Some people would sell their birthright for that. He just got a few loaves of bread. You know, how long that gonna last us?
Bro, and especially if you've been on the run for a couple of days, but you eat all that bread right there and then, and you like, shoot, in a couple hours I could be hungry again.
Exactly. But need to ration that out.
So now we see in verse 11, the king sent for Ahimelech, the priest, the son of Ahitub, and all his father's house, and the priests were at Nob, and they all came to the king, and Saul said, "Here now, son of Ahitub." He really had a problem now saying people's names, and it's kind of bothering me. He answered, "Here I am, my lord." You know, still having all of his respect. Then Saul said to him, "Why have you conspired against me, you and the son of Jesse, in that you have given him bread and a sword, and have inquired of God for him, that he should rise against me to lie in wait, as it is this day?" So we seeing Saul's insecurities right now, because he's saying, you inquired of God for him, that he should rise against me, and he's lying in ambush, waiting for me to come by. That's what he's doing right now. But Saul, who tell you this? Like, how you, like, I get how you infer this, right? But this is a big inference right now. And I'm a priest. It's my job to pray for everybody who comes in here. You want me to pray for you right now? Like, we can do this. What really is your problem? So Ahimelech answered the king and said, reading from verse 14, "And who among all your servants is as faithful as David, who is the king's son-in-law, who goes at your bidding and is honorable in your house?" It's not a priest of God asking Saul, which one of anybody in the palace, in the kingdom, more faithful to you than David? Anybody. Like, answer the question. You send him out right now, he going to do your bidding. And he's your son-in-law. Like, what's your problem? Like, what is your problem? Who is more honorable in your house than David? Think about it. Your own son in your house, and you can't even say Jonathan more honorable than David.
Ahimelech is making the mistake that I said Jonathan is making by trying to give Saul reason. Like, not give him a reason. Like, he's trying to be a voice of reason to Saul. Bro, if we put all of these things on paper and it was black and white, that would be able to convince anybody, you shouldn't kill this man. This is your most successful warrior. He brought praises to your house. This is your son's best friend. He loves him more than anything in the world. This is your daughter's husband. She loves him more than anything in the world. What would be the point? Like, your house is, but you guys are victorious in battle because of this guy. Like, anything he goes out to do, he's successful. The what's it called? He's a captain of the army.
Yeah.
And his soldiers love working with him. Everybody love him, except you. You want to kill him. Like, is that enough to kill him? Is that enough to, I just don't like him, but literally everyone in your city love him? By reason, it'd be like, all right, well, if everybody love him and we are better off with him, then all right, we'll keep him. That's reason. But no, Saul ain't listening to reason.
No.
Ahimelech barking up the wrong tree right now. You see what
I
I'm
want
saying?
him gone.
He don't even know that. He don't even know how much he barking up the wrong tree.
Oh, he about to find out.
But Doeg is a snitch. Doeg is a snitch, bro. I hope Doeg gets something for snitching like that, bro. Because, like, you ain't even have to do that, bro. Now, granted, your loyalty is to the king. Your allegiance to the king. So I understand his disposition because he would have been in a Ahimelech situation.
Even there, you realize if you go back, no one else was speaking up but Doeg.
No.
Saul ranting and raving and making noise, as we say, just making a bunch of noise. No one paying him no mind. Doeg's like, oh, well, your majesty.
Right.
I saw David. I saw that son of Jesse. He was over there in the temple.
But no one would even know, bro. No one would even know. So Doeg can't even be like, but he was gonna kill me if I didn't speak up for real.
But you know the funny thing about it too? Doeg told Saul where David was.
Right.
But where is David now?
Right.
With his 400 men, except his parents. But with his 400 men, like you in Judah. Can't hide 400 men. I don't care what you... She's had a hard time hiding 12.
Right.
You know that he was hiding, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's to hide 400. You simply cannot do it.
Right. And then guess what? Remember, David went to a cave and it was like when his parents found out he was in the cave, word is out, bro.
Everyone knows like where David is.
Yeah, everybody know where David is, bro.
That was when it was just him one.
Right. So random people who ain't even call, obviously, there was no cell phone and thing, no social media, no newspaper. I mean, I'm sure they had ways of traveling news back then, but if random people could just pull up on you, bro, it's only a matter of time until the king could pull up on you and find you, you know?
Exactly. But so my thing is, Saul, instead of trying to go to where David is, which is, to your point, well, probably no knowledge at this point. You go into where David ain't.
Where he was.
Where he was, you know what I'm saying?
He ain't even gone there. He just summoned Ahimelech from there. And all his family.
Exactly. And so, yeah, I just found that very interesting just now. Like, why are you taking out Changet? Why you even care? Like, you ain't there no more.
Wait, if he was willing to kill Jonathan, anybody who ain't his flesh and blood, bro, you worse off.
But my thing is, boy, go to David.
Yeah, go to David.
Like, take all the smoke where the smoke is directed.
Yep.
Like, why you going to the ancillary parts?
This how you know Ahimelech probably was unaware. Because if David's family could say, wait, he trying to kill David, and he will kill me. What you think he would do to the person who, quote unquote, might have been harboring a fugitive or helping them? You see what I'm saying? Like, in America, bro, if you are at large, bro, if you go to one of your friends, you call them, you do anything, and your friend don't snitch and tell the police, bro, they are culpable. They can be charged as an accomplice.
Accomplice.
Yeah.
You both are conspiring against. Anyway, so now we see, like, after that in verse 15, did I then begin to inquire of God for him? Far be it from me. Let not the king impute anything to his servant or anything in the house of my father, for your servant knew nothing of all of this, little or much. And to Ahimelech's point, I asked David, well, why are you alone? What are you doing out here? Like, what's going on? David lied each time.
Straight up. David straight up lied to him, bro.
Like, lied each time. So now Ahimelech really get caught in the middle of this, literally not knowing anything. And you would think that would be good enough to say she ate the king. I also give David wrong too, because now David put this man in danger.
I give David wrong for that.
Because this man literally don't know nothing, bro.
Dog.
You don't know nothing. Think about it. The king summoned you.
You want to know what's going on?
I have nothing to fear.
This might be a promotion. I got to give David wrong for that, bro. And this way, you, like, to your point, bro, we can see David faith dwindling, bro. You see they saying, like, David, he ain't have that Goliath type faith. Like him being in exile might have get him a little bit. Like, you see they saying, because he putting other people in danger, and he operating in kind of like in deceitful measures to get through. You see they saying, like, he lying, like he making it seem like he crazy so people could let him free. He lying, oh, my man, da, so he could manipulate the priest to give him food and provisions and stuff like that. You could have been honest, bro. The Holy Spirit might have impressed something on the priest, I don't know, on the people of Philistia, of Gath. You see what I'm saying? And so now you just you put Ahimelech and his family in the biggest hot seat, because now the king is mad at them, obviously.
And how hot of a seat you might add? You might ask?
Yeah.
In verse 16, and the king said, you shall surely die. Ahimelech, you and all your father's house.
Wow. The whole family.
The king said to the guards who stood about him, turn and kill the priests of the Lord, because their hand is also with David, and because they knew when he fled and did not tell me.
You can see Saul going crazy now, right? The man going crazy, bro.
Look at this, though. But the servants of the king would not lift their hands to strike the priests of the Lord. touch God, not God's anointed. We're going to see this line come up in a few chapters. Well, maybe like 10 chapters, but still touch not God's anointed. And then the king said to Doeg, okay, you turn and kill the priest. So Doeg the Edomite turned and struck the priest and killed on that day 85 men who wore the linen ephod.
Wow.
That's direct way of saying he killed 85 priests that day.
Wow.
Not only that, hold on. In verse 19, also Nob, the city of the priests, he struck with the edge of the sword both men, women, children, babies, oxen, donkeys, and sheep with the edge of the sword. And the reason why that's so impactful, right? Remember about, at this point, how much chapters was it ago? 7 chapters ago. I was going to say 8, but 7 chapters ago, right? When Saul was given specific instructions to kill everybody in a pagan city that are sworn enemies of the Israelites, that attacked and killed somebody. Well, they didn't actually kill, but they attacked you guys when you guys were defenseless and weak at the bar. God said, I'll blot them out from the face of the earth. God gave Saul specific instruction, kill all of them.
Wow, all of the Amalekites.
Saul so happened to found some compassion and grace and decide to spare some. It's even the king. But now, you're such an agent of the devil at this point. You're going to kill a whole city of priests. Your own priests. Priests of your own. You literally killing your brothers and sisters at this point. Well, cousins, really.
Mind you, only Ahimelech is guilty of the crime that you talking about,
But Ahimelech, guilty, but still innocent.
Right,
like,
based on Saul, based on... Ahimelech is innocent because he did not know he is harboring a fugitive. Number one. Number two, Ahimelech is innocent because David should not be a fugitive because he did nothing wrong. But based on Saul's law, David is wrong because he's a enemy.
Trying to take the throne away from David. Right. Yeah, Saul.
And then because of that, Ahimelech is now guilty because he did literally anything with David.
He's an accomplice.
Because he did not tell Saul where David was. That's the only way Ahimelech would have spared his own life. But guess what? Ahimelech children, he ain't do nothing. Ahimelech, the women of Nob, literally, bro, you know what it is? Earl, all us live in Orlando, right? No, Maitland. That's a smaller city near Orlando. All us live in, but this one pastor do something bad, and now the president kill him, his whole family, and that wasn't enough. Everybody in that city of Maitland, where you and I used to live, have to now die because of that.
Exactly.
But how unreasonable is that, bro?
But even your cat and your dog.
Even your cat and your dog, bro.
Gone.
But and you know what the sick part about it is? Saul ain't killing no one, bro.
It's Doeg.
Saul tell Doeg to kill all of these people, bro. And you know what? This ain't in the Bible, but from a human perspective, Doeg was a shepherd, bro. The man probably never killed no one, bro. Now you gotta kill all of these people, bro. I know that probably sit on his conscience. This me, Nakhaz, speculating. I know that was probably hard to do. When I watch movies, what I heard people say, like on a detective show, it's like when someone do a crime like that, sometimes they throw up. Like if they ain't used to like killing people or seeing people die and stuff like that. It's like your body just naturally gonna react. But Doeg went from a shepherd to a mass murder. He killed 85 men in one sitting. But you know what it is, boy? You gotta just keep buying this. You want no gun, bro. You gotta keep impaling people, bro. And then you gotta kill women and children. That never was okay. You understand what I'm saying? That no one that by people Oh, but you know what? You know what? Deuteronomy. I think it's Deuteronomy 29. A man should not die for his son's sins, and a son should not die for his father's sins. But that's where Saul really going crazy. I hope it's Deuteronomy chapter 9. I would feel really 29 verse 18 maybe. I'd feel very happy about that if I get it correct. Nope, that's not it. But anyway, the overall idea is a man should not die for his son's sins. Neither a son should not die for his father's sins. You know? And I'm just like, bro, Saul is not, I could just say Christian.
Deuteronomy 24. He was close.
Yeah, I was close. 24 verse what?
16.
Anyway, I wasn't that close. But anyway, 24, read it for me, please.
Oh, I just got to pull it up. So, fathers shall not be put to death because of their children, or their children shall be put to death because of their fathers. He shall be put to death for their own sin.
That is law. That is a law in the land where Saul is king. So right now, it ain't even the fact that Saul just going crazy, like he going mad. I don't know if he like really psychologically going mad, but I'm just saying he being stupid and crazy right now, right? But he's also breaking the law of the Torah. If anybody wondered what Saul what his what powers are like he have over certain things. No, you can't just because you was the king say, "I just killing people at willy-nilly." You break the law of the Torah, and the king should have been read the law of the Torah. As a matter of fact, we know Samuel read to Saul what he was supposed to do, and in Deuteronomy they talk about how you should read. I believe that's in Deuteronomy chapter 18, and they talk about how the king should be read the law all the time, almost every day. You see what I'm saying? Like, and so based on that, Saul, to your point, he working for the devil. If this was during today's age, we would say Saul is not a Christian. Saul is not abiding by Christian principles. Saul is abiding by Saul, or he's abiding by the devil or the will of demonic activity. But it's not Saul. It's not Jesus. It's not the Most High God during this time. He's not abiding by Israelite principles or the Torah, the first 5 books of the Tanakh or our Bible.
I want to read Psalms 52 because based on, I guess, research, this is like Doeg. This was David's recollection of that event. Psalms 52 verse 1. To the chief musician, a compilation of David when Doeg the Edomite went and told Saul and said to him, David has gone to the house of Abimelech. That part was added in after the fact, naturally. But he said, why do you boast in evil, O mighty man? The goodness of God endures continually. Your tongue devises destruction like a sharp razor working deceitfully. You love evil more than good, lying rather than speaking righteousness. Selah. You love all devouring words, you deceitful tongue. God shall likewise destroy you forever. He shall take you away and pluck you out of your dwelling place and uproot you from the land of the living. The righteous also shall see and fear and shall laugh at him, saying, here is the man who did not make God his strength, and but trusted in the abundance of his richness and strengthened himself in his wickedness. But I am like a green olive tree in the house of God, and I trust in the mercy of God forever and ever. I will praise you forever because you have done it. And in the presence of your saints, I will wait on your name, for it is good.
Boy, so to that, Doeg might have been okay with that. Like that might have bring him joy because like David describing him like as an evil person, right? But you gotta be evil to do what you do, right? Like just to let your mouth run. Like this is an innocent man you trying to help kill.
My thing is too is like, bro, the mere fact that the king's own gods. It's like we ain't killing them,
right?
Like my thing is like even besides not even saying them, it is like, bro, you ain't to your point. You're not a skilled warrior. Mm-hmm. Why do you think you should take it upon yourself to kill him, to kill these priests? This ain't your brothers. The king gave us all this. We say, bro, we ain't doing this. Mm-hmm. And kind of out of context here, right? But it's like people were saying like if a nuclear war was ever to happen, they would hope if the president give the order that the military generals would stand in the way of it because. Yeah, I give the order, but you also have to inflict it. Mm-hmm. Just like this. Saul gave the order, and the God said no. Saul said, okay, you only want to do it, I can tell you do it.
Because he's an Edomite.
He's an Edomite.
Right.
And he's like, oh yeah, I can do this, no problem.
Right.
And just went there and just...
So his law is like, you don't... Like, Edom is, for context, y'all, Edom, descendants of Esau, obviously Israel was Jacob. So 2 brothers or whatever, right? The Israelites serve the Most High God. They have the scriptures from the Moses' time and, the Torah, the law, 10 Commandments, all of that. So everybody in this story that's an Israelite, they have this at their disposal, and this is a part of their religion. But the Edomites, they were not Israelites, and they did not follow the Most High God. I'm not sure if Doeg was familiar with this or if he cared to live by it. It would be equivalent if you have a Christian and another religion just coexisting with each other or whatever. One, we do this, but another religion might do something else. And what y'all do is what y'all do, what I do is what I do. So to Doeg, bro, there's a priest of a different religion. This don't mean nothing to me, bro. Like, this ain't sacred to me. Like, oh, it's sacred to y'all. But the king's man saying, but I ain't killing no priest, bro. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. But Doeg happy to do it. Even though he ain't no soldier. That ain't even in your job description, bro. You could easily say, no, I never kill no one, or I just as a shepherd. You see what I saying? But Doeg wanted to be famous, bro. Doeg gone to him, knowing people was can get killed. He was cool with that. Doeg wanted to be the guy that get some type of reward. See, Saul, come start talking about, who got this? Who promised you all reward? That probably enticed Doeg to say, but yeah, I gotta show them this, bro, because it gotta be something in it for me if I do this.
Yeah, you see, even David said, you trusted in the abundance of his riches.
Yeah, that's truthfully what it is. But I feel like because he wasn't an Israelite, he didn't feel any like the reservation against
killing the priests,
right? Or 85 of them and their children and wives and friends.
So in verse 20, now one of the sons of Ahimelech, the son of Ahitub, named Abiathar, thank God I ain't got to say that twice, oh my word, escaped and fled after David. And Abiathar told David that Saul had killed the Lord's priest. So David said to Abiathar, I knew that day when Doeg the Edomite was there, that he would surely tell Saul, I have caused the death of all the persons of your father's house. Stay with me, do not fail. For he who seeks my life seeks your life. But with me, you shall be safe.
But I would have been mad at David, you know.
But I'd have been infuriated. I'd have been like, wait, hold on. You get the sword, right? Why you ain't kill him then and there?
Why you ain't kill Doeg?
Why you let this perpetuate?
Why you ain't tell us? Why you ain't tell us he was gonna kill my daddy, bro? Like,
again, David should have won them. I give David wrong here.
Yeah, I got to, bro. Like,
I give David wrong.
See, my thing is, I ain't saying David should have killed him because obviously thou shalt not murder. Or you see what I'm saying? Like, you don't know up until this point, Doeg, all he is a shepherd, but he ain't do nothing for you to kill him. You understand what I'm saying? But it would have been a safer thing for everyone. You see what I'm saying? Based on what we know, based on this story right now, it'd have been a safer thing if you all had done something to Doeg, to something that to make him make sure he don't snitch. Like, I ain't saying kill him or nothing like that, because obviously thou shalt not kill. You know what I mean? Like, that's one thing we gotta remember. You feel me? That's still a sin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if you feel like you have probable cause to do so, like, you know. But I feel like David should have informed them a little more. But
yeah, David could have at least let Ahimelech, I guess, choose. And I say choose. David could have let Ahimelech, like, you know, stand with David. But you kept him completely in the blind. So it's like you literally, inadvertently, you led him to the slaughter without directly doing it. Because you didn't want him. You didn't let him know exactly what was going on. He didn't know. So he literally came to Saul as an ignorant man, not knowing. And now the whole family died. And then, for what it's worth, you could have told him to, like, yo, Doeg, like, at the end, here's what really happening, bro. Yada, 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 I'm on the run. Saul trying to kill me. That guy right there is one of... Because the main fact that David asked for the sword was because he saw Doeg there and he got even more scared. So he got the sword for protection really from Doeg. So it's like, you would have been like, hey, Doeg leaving, like, Saul might be coming after you because X, Y, and Z, because he going to know so surely. Because David said, yeah, sure, I knew he was going to tell Saul. Like, hands down, he's going to tell Saul where I was. So, like, David already had this all figured out in his head, but didn't.
He was hoping for the best.
The 5% hope.
Yeah. He's hoping for the best. But now we have Abiathar, who is now an orphan, right? He don't got nobody, but nobody is left in his city. You understand what I'm saying? His daddy, his uncles, this whole clan, bro. Like, not his clan, but everybody who's from the priestly clan of that city is now gone. And the only thing David can tell him is, bro, come with me, because the person who want to kill me too, bro. Like,
because honestly, wait, what else could you do?
He can't do nothing.
They done dead.
He can't do nothing.
It's sad, but like, bro, like, dang, like, all I could do now is, yeah, just stay with me. I can protect you. That's the least I could do.
But right now, David living a sad life, bro. Like, there's a sad turn of events that he going through. Like, but mind you, it's a simple thing to not tell Ahimelech, because David might have been saying, like, if I tell Ahimelech might turn against me. You see what I say? Like to David, I could see you rationalizing that, but what y'all don't know won't hurt y'all. But that wasn't the truth. That wasn't the truth, yeah.
But I think it also goes to show the consequences of when you don't trust in God, because the mere fact that he was there under those circumstances was because of his, and lying was because of his lack in faith and trust. So it's because of when you relied on your own understanding and actions and trying to figure it out on yourself is what led to these consequences. And the sad thing is, again, the whole point of sin is not immediate. Certain things are immediate, yes, but like this one, who knows the timeline between everything? This one, for me, it felt like it played out over maybe a couple of months, definitely a couple of days. You know what I'm saying? But a couple of months at this point, because now David already had 400 men to gather him, they didn't move, and you know what I'm saying? So a couple of months, I think, was a safe estimate to gather 400 men and move cities and go to the king of Moab and leave your parents and all kind of stuff. And so now David might honestly, I wouldn't say forget about it, but it's like, oh yeah, Doeg was there. This did happen. Right. Yeah, I had a feeling this would have happened, but it didn't happen immediately. But you were in your mind, you didn't move past this, but your actions in that time where you was to these sinful acts, they coming back and getting you now. And now he's like, my goodness, the only thing I could do now is protect you, but I really do feel bad, remorseful what happened to your family, but unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about it no more.
But you know what else could be? David might have thought to tell him, right? But considering David is a fugitive, he like, but I already get bread and pray for. I can't even stick around here long enough. Because the longer I here, bro, the more likely I am to get caught. You see what I'm saying? Because I out of my stronghold, I got to get to the Philistine army like as quick as possible. And so, because Doeg, he probably did not have an opportunity to speak to him like in private. You see what I'm saying? And so in his mind, he might be like, boy, I want to tell him, but I got to go, Dread. You see what I'm saying? Like, and like sometimes it just be like that and you leave and you say, you remember yesterday or the other day you was telling me you had seen this guy, he had asked you for something up for Walmart at Walmart, and you was like, you helped him out and you was like, bro, I should have prayed for him, right? But then you leave. You see what I'm saying? You say, but I should have prayed for him. That, like, at that time, that could have been what David was saying, bro. I should have tell him. You, fortunately, you turn around and still pray for him. You see what I'm saying? But David obviously did not tell Ahimelech, and there was a big consequence. One of the overall themes that I get from this is that when we lack faith, bro, we don't just affect ourselves. You understand what I'm saying? We affect other people when we show a lack in faith, a lack of faith in God. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm reminded of when Jesus was getting transfigured, and the disciples, there was a man who had a son who say, the son of demons, he threw himself in the water, threw himself in the fire, and they tried to cast out the demons. They couldn't cast out the demons, right? Jesus ended up casting out the demons, and they say, why we couldn't do it? And Jesus say, some things you can't do unless you pray and fast. You understand what I'm saying? Your faith ain't strong enough for you to just walk up to certain demons and cast them out, or to get over certain battles. You got to pray and fast, right? But regardless of the reason why your faith isn't strong enough, we have somebody who come to y'all hoping to get delivered, and they left more distraught. Like, man, even the disciples can't do it. By the grace of God, Jesus was there to be able to accomplish everything. You see what I'm saying? But now, to reverse back to David, we have a situation where, because David's faith was lacking, he acted in ways that were not reflective of God and, lying. It seems like a little white lie, but bro, we could see the big implication or the big outcome that happened because of this lie. And that's why it's like we can't make the assumption that God is okay with even our smallest sins. Bro, lying lips are an abomination unto God. Thou shalt not bear false witness, bro. Like, you tell him, bro, yeah, my men are in such and such a place. It's bearing false witness. You ain't see no men. You don't have no men. You see what I'm saying? Saul send me here, You bearing false witness, bro. Like, you are a witness that Saul gave you this to tell Ahimelech or whatever. And so because of this, it actually costed Ahimelech his life, and then Ahimelech, his family, his town, everybody except for Ahimelech's son, one of Ahimelech's sons, was killed just because of your lack of faith. Saul had completely lost it. His bloodlust for David knows no bounds. In the last episode, we saw where he attempted to take Jonathan's life. In this episode, Saul makes it abundantly clear that all those who helped David will be put to death, including priests and everyone that resides in their towns. As time progresses, Saul continued to pursue David, And eventually, his pursuit led him right into David's hands. But we'll talk more about that on the next episode of A Breath of Fresh Air. Tonight's episode included voice acting by your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz. Remember to go ahead and research on your own in order to get a more firm understanding of tonight's episode. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. You can follow us on social media at A Breath of Fresh Air Pod on Instagram and BOFAPOD on Twitter. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week.